and this is the big NDTV exclusive, the timely detection of a crack in an oxidizer line in the first stage of the Falcon 9 rocket, which will in fact take 4 astronauts, including India's Shubhanshu Shukla, to the International Space Station, averted a major disaster. The fault was observed during a demand for due diligence from the ISRO chairman, Dr. V Narayanan. And despite admitting to a fuel leak, the SpaceX team decided to launch the ailing rocket or the leaking rocket on June 11th. However, after learning about this leak, ISRO chief had strongly disagreed with the decision, and he had demanded that there should be full correction and validation by proper tests, including low temperature leak tests. It was upon his insistence of due diligence that finally the SpaceX ISRO decided to postpone the launch, and it is Pallav Bagla who's breaking that big exclusive here on NDTV. Pallav, why was SpaceX insisting on flying with, insisting that this should fly with a leaking rocket? Also, this would have certainly endangered the lives of the astronauts.
Oh, certainly it would have endangered the lives of the astronauts. Dr. V Narayanan clearly told me, which is a weld fracture when a rocket vibrates and goes into space, could well have broken, and it could have become a fireball, and the astronauts' lives were certainly in danger. As to why SpaceX was willing to take that risk is very hard for anybody to assess, but they were very clear. They came up front and declared there was a leak, and then they were offering a band-aid solution on the rocket, which was unacceptable to the Indian team, which was stationed at the Kennedy Space Center. And Dr. Narayanan himself is a liquid engine specialist who's worked on liquid oxygen for years and years. And he put his foot down, saying unless the repairs are carried out to his satisfaction and the ISRO team's satisfaction, the rocket will not go. And he actually put his foot down, saying that India will pull out its astronaut, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, as the astronaut on the mission, unless the tests are done to their satisfaction and validated. So finally, actually, SpaceX, when they went back to the rocket, they found that the leak was actually a weld crack, and finally they replaced the line. And now Dr. Narayanan says that these tests have been done to his satisfaction, and that's why a new launch date no earlier than June 9th has been announced. Only in a few minutes ago, NASA has announced that it will be no earlier than June 19th, my apologies, June 19th.
Yes.
And NASA always says no earlier than. So let us hope it happens then. But yes, the lives of these 4 astronauts were certainly in danger, is what ISRO chairman told me. And it would be very unfortunate if the rocket had lifted off with that broken or fractured line.
Yes, and Pallav, when you say that the SpaceX team actually offered a band-aid solution, what was this band-aid solution? And because Dr. Narayanan himself was at the Kennedy Center, were these conversations happening in person? Or was it a written note sent by him to the SpaceX team that they have to act immediately?
Well, the conversations were happening in person, but finally I think what nailed it was that it was on a Government of India letterhead that a final riot act was read out to the SpaceX and Axiom team by the ISRO chairman. And I should also acknowledge here that the role played by India's Science Minister, Dr. Jiten Singh, he was constantly in the loop, and he supported the ISRO team which was there, that they could take on SpaceX and Elon Musk. It's a mighty, mighty establishment.
Yes.
And for ISRO chief to be taking on that pressure and then not succumbing to it is certainly a great credit for the technical skill of a person. And also the SpaceX team realized that they were dealing with a very highly skilled engineer. So they also agreed to do what was required and then changed it. So
Yes.
It is to the credit of all parties, including Axiom Space, which has also come out to say that all parties are happy and they were appreciative of the role played by ISRO, in effect, to save the rocket and save the lives of 4 astronauts.
Yes, and perhaps save the entire history and future of the space missions. Dr. B.R. Guru Prasad, who is the director of Jawaharlal Nehru Planetarium, is joining us. He is also a former ISRO scientist. Pallav Bagla, please go ahead.
Namaskar, Guru, for joining us.
Namaskar, Pallav, please.
Guru, can you tell our viewers what would have been the risk if that liquid oxygen leak was continued and that continued on the rocket and if it had lifted off?
Good evening once again. I would put it like this, to any engine, rocket engine, especially to a semi-cryogenic engine where liquid oxygen is used as the oxidizer, the propellants will flow to the engine at a very high pressure. Okay, the turbopumps will actually pump the fuel and the oxidizer at tremendous pressures. Okay, so the onus of responsibility is on the engineers to ensure that there are the fuel lines to the engine don't give way. So it is very important from the point of view of the safety of the rocket flight, as well as ensuring the efficient working of the rocket engine. So it is very, very important. And the what we call as plumb lines, they have to be sturdy to withstand the pressures and to make the rocket engine work at the right pressure so that the pushing force thrust is produced and ultimately the rocket flies properly in the proper path and takes the spacecraft sitting on top of it.
Dr. Guru Prasad, do you think that the ISRO chairman, Dr. V Narayanan, who is himself a specialist on liquid engines and his speciality is cryogenic engines and liquid oxygen, kind of prevailed and finally SpaceX listened to his technical advice? Do you think that was the way it could have prevailed?
I'm not sure about it, but the thing is, I know because I was part of ISRO. I'm very proud of being part of ISRO for nearly 4 decades. And I have seen Dr. V Narayanan. The thing is, in 2016, we had the first flight of GSLV Mark III. Now it is called as LVM-3, which launched Chandrayaan 2 and 3 and 72 foreign satellites. It has a cryogenic engine in its last stage. And previous to that, the GSLV, which was originally, it had an engine, cryogenic engine realized in India. Of course, the original design was Russian, but much was done in India. And Dr. Narayanan had played a very, very crucial role in the realization of these 2 engines. I still vividly remember having congratulated him because in 1 month there was a success of GSLV, okay, with one type of cryogenic engine, and within a month, in the very first flight itself, orbital flight of GSLV Mark III or LVM-3, the other type of cryogenic engine also was tremendously successful in the very first flight itself. So I have I remember vividly having congratulated him. The bottom line is this: definitely. I'm sure that the people with whom Dr. Narayanan was in touch from other agencies, definitely they would have listened to him with a lot of interest and respect. I'm sure about it.
Yes. Pallav, since we are talking about Dr. Narayanan here, there has been a lot of back and forth which happened between him and Axiom Space here, and the mission was postponed 5 times in the past.
That is true.
Then why wasn't SpaceX agreeing to postpone it once again after fixing the leakage?
Well, they were willing to launch it on that day. Having fixed the leak in that simple solution they were offering of purging the leaked oxygen, and that was not acceptable to the Indian team. They said that on a human-rated launch vehicle, this simple solution is not acceptable, and they put their foot down. And जिसको कहते हैं ना, अंगद की तरह उन्होंने अपने पैर गाड़ दिए कि जब तक हमारा बात नहीं सुनी जाएगी तब तक हम नहीं उड़ने देंगे, और हम ग्रुप कैप्टन and we will withdraw Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla from the flight. And that is when I think the message went right down to the SpaceX team that this flight would not take place unless ISRO was. And that Dr. Narayanan is a no-nonsense man, technically sound, and they understood that it will not happen, and the government of India was fully backing him, and the Minister of Science was fully backing him, and that played in the minds, and they fixed it. So hopefully on June 19th, no earlier than June 19th is what now NASA is saying.
Right.
We should have a flight. And let me also add for our viewers, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is hale and hearty and healthy. He's in the crew quarters in quarantine. He was not on the rocket when the leak was detected, but end of the day, he's safe and fine and in good shape and very fit to fly on the next flight whenever it happens. But
not
ISRO is
19.
but ISRO is very clear that the launch will happen. Safety first, safety always, and that would be the motto under which the flight of the Falcon 9 Crew Dragon will happen to the International Space Station, and Group Captain Shukla will become the second Indian astronaut to do that. So it's a matter of pride for India, but India's technical skills also came to the fore.
Yes, absolutely. Matter of pride, certainly. We'll be seeing history unfold on 19th or perhaps before, not before 19th. Not before 19th. Dr. Guru Prasad and Pallab Bagla here, thank you so much for joining us here on NDTV. This is the big story that is also on our website, ndtv.com. A quick break and then we return.